Hola amigos, ¿cómo estás? Vamos, Formula Uno Catalunya. Okay, that's all the Spanish I know. Welcome everybody to the Sports and Strategy with Friends F1 stream. We are back after a week-long hiatus because I was away, but we are back with a mega episode today, and we're going to dive right in with the Montreal review. And Aniket, what a race was that at Montreal, man! What a race! It had
Yeah,
everything. It had rain. It had a big battle at the front. Max barely held off Lando Norris. Mercedes got a podium, but unfortunately, it was the wrong driver on the podium. But yeah, it was a power pack race, isn't it?
yeah. As you said, firstly, hola amigos, ¿cómo estás? Welcome to the Spanish Grand Prix weekend. We are, excited to see again a four car, or I would say a four constructor, chase for this victory again in Spain. And we all, are banking our hopes that Mercedes, McLaren, Ferrari are there to challenge Red Bull again this weekend,
Yep.
like we saw in Montreal. So fingers crossed. And while we are talking about Montreal, I have the Spanish Grand Prix practice going on my other screen, so I'm just keeping tabs on that. So we'll probably discuss that later on as we move throughout this show. But first,
Cool.
let's come to Montreal. So definitely an exciting race, as you said. We saw some different teams, fighting it out at the front. We've not seen so many teams fight it out at the front so far this season. So firstly, that
Yep.
was very exciting for the fans. So I mean, for us people in Asia, the race was very late, but still we did, as F1 fans, as diehard F1 fans, wanted to catch it because of the excitement which was building, especially first with the weather forecast, which was going to be mixed, and then we had a Mercedes on Mercedes on pole, was it? I think George Russell was on pole, so
Yep. Yep.
that was something of a surprise for us to see. So definitely, and once the race started, we saw like a very a very cautious start from all the drivers, considering of the track being wet in nature. So I think everyone was on intermediates to start off, except for the Haas drivers who gambled on the
Yeah.
wet tires.
At the
So
beginning, they were killing it. They were
they
absolutely.
did.
What? We
So
had Kevin Magnussen
definitely.
fourth by the end of lap 10.
So Kevin Magnussen and who's the Nico Hulkenberg were powering their way through the field like they were the Mercedes drivers,
Yeah.
back in 2014, powering their way through the field. So in the initial laps for fun, wherein we could see the Haas drivers make full advantage or take full advantage of their wet tires, but ultimately the advantage came back to those on the intermediate tires. So the Haas drivers then had to pit, and then the advantage fell off a cliff. But
Yep.
I mean, in the opening stages, we did see that George Russell controlled the pace very well. He held Verstappen back, and I think the McLarens were behind him. So I think the first 10 to 15 laps were, as usual. We saw the first four runners, take stabs at the faster laps and maintain the pace between them. And then slowly we saw the McLaren suddenly, ascending in pace, and Norris especially. He made a big splurge right at the front. He overtook Verstappen first, and then he overtook Russell as well, and then he, I think, ended up being first before the first safety
Yeah.
car or something came in. Correct?
Yeah, so Russell and Hamilton pit first along with Max. Lando pit a couple of laps later. But yeah, after that, there was a safety car as well with a crash. Who was that who crashed? That was, hold on.
I think it was one of the Williams who
Oh, yeah,
who
Logan
crashed.
Sargent. Of course, it was Logan
Ah,
Sargent.
yeah, correct.
But yeah,
So
Logan Sargent lost control. He crashed, which brought out a safety car. And yeah, Red Bull made a good pit stop that time for fresh tires. And
So
yeah,
I
Max.
think this was the first pit stop, or are you talking about the second pit stop? Which I mean the
I
one
think the second pit stop because
second round of pit stops, correct? The first round of pit stops
oh,
was,
no,
I
no.
think,
So the first round of pit stops was after Logan Sargent's crash.
yeah.
And what happened was, as soon as the safety car came out, George and Max could immediately pit, but
While Lando could not, correct?
Lando could not because he had missed the thing, right? So Lando pit on the next lap and lost
He
position.
came out behind Verstappen, I think, yeah.
Yes.
And all this before the first round of pit stops, I think Verstappen also overtook Russell. I think Russell made a mistake in the first corner. I believe, I don't remember which corner, but Russell. So Verstappen got Russell for that place as well. So then
Mm.
I think the first round of pit stops, as you said, then we saw Verstappen take the lead and then Norris come out
Yeah,
behind him. Then
yeah. Russell
Russell,
was leading, but Max was,
yeah,
pretty close. And
correct.
then, yeah, the pit stops. I think Max did overtake just before the pit
He
stop.
did
But
because George made a mistake and did overtake him.
yeah,
Correct.
and I think actually Lando was ahead of George as well at that point.
Lando
Right,
was leading at that time.
right, right. But
So
yeah,
yeah, I mean, imagine we've spoken for 5 minutes on this, just the first round of pit stops. We've never spoken so much
exactly,
on any
right.
of the races
So
before.
much happening. There's so much happening. Of course,
Yeah.
as a hashtag to foresee, the race was very disappointing for Ferrari fans with a double DNF. Uh, Charles just, I think the Ferrari were having engine problems all weekend, and especially Charles was having engine problems, losing a lot of power on the straights, and also, well, Ferrari took a gamble of sending him on dry tires before everybody else, which didn't work out. So then he came back into the pits, and then they're like, "Hey, Charles, why don't we reset your engine?" So the old turn off, it turn it on again. Try to reset the engine. But that time he lost so much time. I think a few laps later, they're like, you know what, screw it. We'll just retire him. And then yeah, Sainz also retired about 10 laps later. Yeah, it was a disappointing outing for Ferrari. But yeah, McLaren, Mercedes, and Red Bull, half a Red Bull at the front. Because Sergio Perez, where was he again? Uh, do you remember? I
Definitely
don't remember.
not out of the points. I guess I don't remember.
Oh yeah, he retired. He DNF'd.
He retired. So yeah. So I
Yeah,
think if we
so
talk
that's
about Ferrari, just a very pathetic weekend from them all around. I think they definitely got the
yeah,
car setup wrong, and the car was not suiting either of the drivers, which was very strange to see. Generally, the car suits one driver over the other, but this time it didn't suit either. So I would say disappointing weekend for them. So it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back from that disastrous weekend in Canada to now to a more traditional track in Spain. So that's going to be
yeah,
interesting to see. But definitely, if you talk about McLaren, Mercedes, and Red Bull, those are the top three who are fighting it out throughout the race. And when you come to say Mercedes, for let's talk about Mercedes because they brought their big upgrades, especially the front wing upgrades over the last couple of races on both the drivers'
Hey,
cars.
Mercedes are 3 and 4 this time. We are completely out of 6 and 7 territory.
So they're gradually moving up, and I believe that they could be 1 and 2 probably in the next couple of races. I mean, it's just a guess based
Let's
on
go.
how the trends are, how we form a trend,
And
of the progression.
Lewis was just 6 tenths behind George, so that was Lewis is finally catching up to George this season.
I mean, we can talk about Lewis's car being
Yep,
under
we can talk about that in a bit.
soon. But yeah, but Mercedes, good stuff from them. They finally are trying to understand, or they finally are probably getting more grips to the more understanding of their car, getting to grips with their car. So it does seem that they're trying to understand, or they're able to understand where the weaknesses of the car and bring on the upgrades in the right areas. So
Yeah,
that front wing definitely is a big upgrade for them, and it has definitely worked out well over these last couple of races. So that's a major positive to see in this, I would say, in this F1 season. And McLaren is like McLaren; they just keep on rising to in every race. They keep on progressing. They have been very consistent over the in this first half of the season as being the strongest challengers to Red Bull in every race. I would say so that Mercedes
so,
engine
but
definitely does make a difference. Yes, but the McLaren aerodynamic department is also doing their job this season. So yeah, I think McLaren, Mercedes, good stuff from them, and obviously Max. I think the car was not at their best today. The Red Bull car. I mean, not today in Montreal. The car was
right,
not at the
yeah,
best as you saw from Sergio Perez's retirement. Definitely, Sergio Perez is not the driver Max is, but Max, took that car to another level in that weekend.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Perez. Like he was not going qualifying either. He was P16, right? Um, like he just had another terrible weekend, and then he retired. On lap 51. What he had, I think he had. Did he just crash out or he was having issues too?
I
So
think
yeah,
it was just the issues with the car, so that's the reason.
yeah. So very surprising. But is it really surprising at all at this point for Sergio Perez? Uh, yeah. So before we talk about Perez, I think Aston Martin had a good weekend, 6 and 7. But I don't know how much of that is because Ferrari were missing at the top,
Yeah.
right? So, but yeah, Daniel Ricciardo in P8, he would definitely, I think, be happy to, you know, respond to Montoya. But I'm still on Team Montoya. Sorry, Daniel. But yeah, we'll see how he does in Spain this weekend. But yeah, double points finish for Alpine. That was surprising, don't you say? 9 and 10 for
Yeah,
Alpine. No,
definitely. I think like all the rubbishness which they've had this season in terms of the car and the drivers as well who've been underperforming. I think definitely they have something to show for at the end of the Montreal race,
yeah,
wherein, as you said, both drivers in the point. So they are trying to get back up to speed in this season. It's been taking a while, but I think they finally ascending to the phase where they can challenge for regular points now, where they actually should have been right from the start of the season. It's just that the car was so messed
yeah.
up.
Also, I
So
think their car has also had a lot of issues, right? Originally, the car was overweight, I mean, heavier than all the
yes,
other cars in the grid. Their engine is lacking around 25 horsepower, which I don't know, man. How,
25
how do you ride?
kilometers.
it? But
It's probably the
yeah,
worst engine on the grid at this point. So
oh,
yeah.
easily the worst. Uh, Yeah, so but yeah, I mean, good for them that they're improving. Double point finish. I think Haas would really be disappointed to finish 11th and 12th, especially after they were like stormed to 4 and 6 or something like that at the beginning. But yeah, I think Haas needs to work on strategy a bit. I know the team name is Haas Ferrari, but that doesn't mean you need to follow Ferrari strategy too. Uh, I think they just got all the tire choices wrong. I think they stayed on the wets a bit too long. The wets
Yeah,
really, as the track dried up, the wets were really garbage. So yeah, but yeah, that was Canada. What
that
what
was
an exciting.
exciting, and probably we've not spoken about everything. We've not spoken about all the other incidents which happened, all the
Yeah, that
hundred
was a
more
long.
overtakes which have happened. I mean, but
Yeah, of course we got a trademark Logan Sargent crash.
yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about let's talk about drivers who I don't know are phoning it in. I mean Logan Sargent is he's not even a paid driver, so I don't think he's even lasting the season. Do you think Mercedes is going to bring Kimi Antonelli to replace him midway? Especially with the
Yeah,
5A exception in for
they're
17
they are
year-olds.
exactly they're approving the license, right? So there could be a
Yeah,
chance Kimi Antonelli slots in maybe
yeah,
sooner rather than later. So it's going to be an interesting space to watch. I mean, Logan Southern is definitely there to be replaced. So we're just going to wait and see if Kimi Antonelli gets like a practice run in the Williams before joining Mercedes next season.
yeah. And I think the other driver who I think, well, Ricardo is temporarily off the attention, but I think the other driver who has all the heat on him is also a Red Bull family driver, Sergio Perez. I mean, I don't know what Red Bull are thinking when they signed the contract extension with him. Maybe they thought, he'll be a safe P2 for Max, but if he keeps going this way, how long can Christian Horner protect him, right?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, sure, a racing incident could have taken him out, but you know, he started P16, right? If he started say P5 or P6, you don't have a racing incident taking him out of the race, right?
Yep.
Uh, and I mean, sure, he did it on lap 51, right? I don't know. Do you remember how Perez did he just spin out or something? But yeah, I mean, just terrible, right? Even Monaco, like when he crashed on the first lap, because sure, a Haas took him out. But again, same logic there, right? There's no reason he should have been P18 or whatever he was at Monaco on the grid. So
Definitely.
yeah, Sergio Perez, I know we are what he has a contract till the end of next season or wait, 2026, right?
Next, yeah, 2026, I think, is when his contract will end now.
Right. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. This is he is he
I think
lasting for?
the first few races in the season was when he was at his peak, right before he got the contract. Like I think till Suzuka, he performed really well. Suzuka was when he got that very good P2. He was like I think less than a tenth behind Max in that race in that
Yeah,
qualifying
yeah,
session, and also in the race he did. I remember he did perform well. So I mean, something has happened after that, wherein Red Bull have did bring the big upgrade for the season. I think just after that race,
yeah,
and then
but
everything else went downhill for him after that.
But it
So
also kind of seems like last season, right? Perez started very well. He won a couple of races and then just fell off a cliff, right?
yeah,
This season he started with P2s and P3s. Beginning of the year on this very podcast, we were talking about how Red Bull is just going to run away with 1-2s all season, and after that we have seen three different drivers win a race, and we have seen Sergio Perez not even go to Q2. So
yeah, it definitely hurts Red Bull's constructors' chances. I think.
yeah,
Uh, I mean, Max might keep winning every race, or at this rate, he might win a race every two races. But if
yeah,
Sergio
I
Perez
think.
is finishing outside the
Mhm.
top 10, then they're just losing that number of points to a Ferrari or a
Yeah,
McLaren.
exactly, right? Like if McLaren gets say 2 and 3 every race,
Yeah, which is
example.
very possible.
Yeah, and two and three is 33 points, and a victory is only 25. So you're already losing ground to McLaren out there. Or if Ferrari continue to get 2 and 3s, right? And then you win the odd race, and then suddenly constructors are not safe
Yeah,
at all. But also, I mean, it's interesting. Like, obviously, last year and the year before that, right? Red Bull had a very dominant car. Even 21, when they had the back and forth with Mercedes and Max was winning races, Red Bull's car was still very, very good, right? It was one of the best cars on the grid. Now this season, it sure Red Bull is still winning races, but it does seem that Red Bull doesn't have that good of a setup, or they're really struggling to get the correct setup every race. But Max is, I think, really showing what a driver he is. I think they should really shut up his critics who just said, "Oh, Max is just winning with a car every year, right?" I think Max is having, I don't know. I know you might disagree, but Max is probably having his Lewis moment when he really wrung that Mercedes to victory. Staving off challenge for Ferrari and Red Bull in the 2010s, right? So I think
yeah,
Max is having that phase. The Red Bull is clearly not the best car in the grid every weekend, but he's still winning races, right? He won Canada by 3 seconds, right, in such a topsy-turvy race. So I think just the fact that Sergio Perez is struggling to even go into Q2 and Max here is winning races, uh, like it can't be all Sergio Perez, right? He's not a terrible driver either. Um, I think Max is
definitely
just
not.
showing whatever it is
I
by
think it's
winning races.
always difficult for a driver to come into a Red Bull setup where Max is so good. I mean,
Yeah,
as I see Austria suddenly score a goal in the Euros, but I just got distracted by that. But yeah, if we come to Max again, so definitely whoever comes to the Red Bull setup is going to have difficulties because Max has basically inherited that team right from when he
right.
stepped in, back in 2016. So but we did definitely did not expect Sergio to fall off a cliff like this. So
Yeah,
we know that he's got that extension, that contract extension, but it's gonna be interesting to see like if he keeps performing like this, whether Red Bull will still you know persist with him despite that contract extension, or whether they will strongly consider you know moving him out in favor of someone else. So if they keep losing constructors points, I think Red Bull definitely being the ruthless team they are, they're going to keep tabs on that, see where they can make improvements.
like imagine if Yuki Tsunoda was second driver, man. Like they'll
Yeah,
probably do so much better, right? Get Yuki Tsunoda second driver. Tsunoda has extended his contract from the year. I know, put Liam Lawson in the second RB seat, and then, if Tsunoda does and Tsunoda falls off, or Tsunoda wants to leave at the end of 2025, they have Liam Lawson, who's easily better than Ricardo too. Uh, yeah, I mean, if anybody's commenting, bring back Daniel Ricardo now. But yeah, yeah, it's really sad to see Checo the fall off this way. But yeah,
yep,
I guess that's Canada, right? A very very exciting race. I mean, I'm still, although a bit sus about Spain, though. Spain is traditionally not a good overtaking track, right?
yeah.
Uh,
Not many overtaking opportunities, and I think the DRS zone is not as powerful. Also, at its most
yeah,
powerful there.
I think
But
the
I'm
DRS.
happy they did get rid of the last that few chicanes and which
Yeah, the
which was
last
just
no, they got into the
which was just
chicane
a
last.
very clownish chicane.
Yeah, no, they got into the chicane last year itself. But I think,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. I
I mean,
firstly I don't know why they even added in the first place. I know there was some safety concern. That's the reason they had it.
that
But
was really
that's such a
stupid.
ridiculously created chicane. I mean,
Yeah,
that ruined all the opportunities of an overtake in the
yeah,
straight.
exactly. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, Spain does have two DRS zones, but yeah, it's always been a bit of a dog for overtaking. So yeah, we'll see how it is.
Yeah,
Um, I think the weather. I mean, I think the weather for Barcelona this weekend is pretty sunny. So
yeah.
no hope on that front.
I think generally it's always been dry there.
Yep, yep. Oh, Barcelona has. Oh, one. Hey, wait a minute. Sunday. Oh, Sunday early morning they have chance of rain, but by 2 p.m. it's like nothing. So,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
maybe we'll get the track of it. Kind of give some. Just take the
But
rubber off.
yeah, who knows? But now that we've transitioned now to talk about Catalonia, right? So I think
Yeah.
like
Let's start with Lewis.
everyone,
Let's start with Lewis at the bombshell,
are you talking
right?
about the car?
No, not the car. You know what I'm talking about. So for our viewers, so today, a few hours ago, actually, an anonymous letter. It's probably I don't know. It's probably Checo Perez sending it. I don't know, but an anonymous letter was sent to all F1 personnel who supposedly was claiming to be a Mercedes F1 staff member, and it was saying that Lewis Hamilton is being sabotaged by the Mercedes team. And let's see, let's look at the details, dude. Hold on, man. Where are the juicy details? This news article is garbage. But yeah, he's basically claiming that it's not a coincidence that why George Russell is being faster than Lewis every race. And yeah, what do you think, does Aniket? Do you think there is truth in this? Toto is already calling it, bullshit. Is saying you need psychiatric help if you believe that. That is just classic Toto. I mean, he's learning a lot from Horner, but
I think it's a very sensitive topic, right? There's a lot of speculation on this right now, and Lewis himself keeps telling that he does well in practice, but suddenly when it comes to qualifying, the car which gets him the top spot in the practice sessions, where he feels comfortable driving it, he suddenly has no confidence.
right.
Driving that same car in qualifying, and we saw in Canada as well, wherein in qualifying Q1 and Q2 were very good for him. I think Q2 he was like he topped the charts as well in Q2. I don't, or maybe he was there and thereabouts.
But he was
But
definitely fastest in FP3, right? FP3, Lewis was fastest. He
correct,
was.
FP3 was fastest. At one point, I sent the picture on our F1 chat
Oh,
group. Right,
he the session
he
fastest. He was 4 tenths ahead
he
of.
was fastest by 7 tenths at one
No,
point.
in FP3 he was 4 tenths at the end of
No,
session.
at one point he was fastest by seven
Right.
tenths, and that ended up being 4 tenths after Max put in a late lap. But he was
Yeah,
7 tenths up. So imagine like what he could do with the car in a normal circumstance. So
yeah, and
definitely,
and in Q2 he was P2 in Q2, and only George was ahead of him by a couple of
yes.
2 tenths. Uh, yeah, he
So
was actually doing pretty well. So
So he was doing well up till Q2 as well, but suddenly when it
yeah,
came to Q3, he fell 4 or 5 tenths behind George. I think George got pole and Lewis was P7 suddenly.
yeah, Lewis was
So
P7, but it was still very close, less than 3 tenths behind. Like all the cars
yeah,
were
but
pretty close.
they were P1 and P2 heading into the second runs of
Yep.
Q3.
Yeah.
So there are things you can talk about, right? There are evidences which you can bring about in terms of, okay, obviously you can say Lewis made a mistake somewhere or he did not get the car in the right setup, but we've been seeing this happening over the last few races. It happened in Monaco as well, wherein the car was good in practice, but then suddenly in qualifying it was not, and George was
Right.
better all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So we can talk
I
about some of these results which has been following a
Mhm.
trend in terms of the
Yeah,
practice
I
and
think there's
qualifying.
yeah, I think there's probably some truth to what the email said. Of course, the email was okay. It was very sensational. It said that Mercedes and Toto Wolff are systematically sabotaging Hamilton's car strategy and mental health, and that there are underhand actions taking place. And he fears that it can be life threatening to Lewis. So I think that's a bit overboard, right? I don't think Mercedes is going to kill him for going to Ferrari, but but yeah, I mean, like you said, that is we're seeing all season. George, seems to do well at least a few sectors and all that. And Lewis is like, I don't know, man. We're still trying to understand the car. Good luck to the factory, and he should be. That's how we see some Lewis all season. So I think there is still some kind of truth. Maybe Toto was pissed off that Lewis broke his contract and is taking the exit to go to Ferrari. I mean, I don't know, right? Um, and you can't. I guess you can't really blame Toto for feeling hurt after being together for what, 8, 9 seasons,
I mean, that's what you would do if you don't get the contract which you want. So
right?
I don't like disagree with, or I don't like have any, like, I would say, wrongdoings. I would say Lewis did not do anything wrong at that point, but it's just that you don't know things, right? It's just at this point we can't talk about this more because we don't have any more evidence
Yeah,
apart from the fact that the performances in practice and quali are following a very strange
right.
trend. So
Yeah, I think there's some truth that maybe Mercedes is not giving the best setup to Lewis. Uh,
that is definitely bound to happen because he's definitely getting phased out. I mean,
right.
considering
Maybe
he's going to a
they're
rival
not.
team next season. So,
Yeah,
but
maybe
I
they're
don't.
even not giving him the full upgrades. I don't know. It does. I mean, it has been very
But are they
strange
doing?
in this
I mean,
season.
it's very fascinating to even discuss. Is like, are they even
Yeah,
doing something on the car before his final session in quali? It'll be very. It's kind of strange to discuss it because Lewis has been with the team for so long, and a sabotage claim on his car is like, just
yeah.
it's maddening to discuss on.
Like, what are they doing? Are they just loading more fuel before he goes out or something?
Exactly.
uh, or do the reverse of what Ferrari did, right? With in 2019, Ferrari was just I think what trying to burn more oil to make the car faster. Is Mercedes
Yeah.
just putting
Right.
pocket to burn less oil so that to make it a couple of times slower every time.
I don't know, but we're gonna see in Spain now. Again, he stopped FP2, so
Yeah,
we saw. So now let's see what happens in FP3 tomorrow. If FP3 is again, like, say, in the top three,
yeah,
and but in qualifying he finishes like P7. I mean, then we have to start talking about this shit more. Wherein
yeah,
he's better than his teammate like in every session up till say Q3, and then he loses out
right.
suddenly. So yeah,
Yeah, like even today, right? P2 he was sorry Q2 sorry FPT was P1 and who was George? George was
he was
P8.
4 tenths behind him, 3.5 tenths,
Yeah, no 4.5 tons.
4.5 tenths. So yeah, that's a long way behind.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And also
so
they're probably
obviously,
different setups, right? FP2 is mostly race setups and all that, so they're probably trying different setups. But yeah, it'll be very surprising if tomorrow suddenly, Lewis is like 7 tenths behind George, right?
I mean, then we can hop on a podcast and discuss even more about this and get it like some more clicks.
Yep.
But but
Yeah.
but yes, we'll see how Spain plays out. Again, as we just saw in FP2, it looks like it could be a 4 team battle for pole,
Yeah.
and
Ferrari I know the gremlins from last race. They're looking good.
they're looking good. McLaren are again looking good. I think Red Bull so far has look a little shaky, but I think they'll probably iron out any of their issues, or at least Max will probably iron out any of his issues before
Yeah.
qualifying. So looks like it's going to be another interesting one.
Yeah. And one thing for sure is that all this drama this season is being look at these crowds before FP1. Look at these crowds in Barcelona, man. Just amazing.
Mm,
See, this is what you get when you have an exciting season, right? And you don't have a guy winning by 30 seconds every race.
yeah, and Barcelona definitely has one of the best crowds in F1. They are very
Oh, yeah.
passionate fans in Spain. I mean, obviously they
And
come
you
out
also
in
have,
full force for Fernando, but
and don't forget
and
Mr.
Carlos,
Carlos.
obviously, and
Oh,
Carlos.
uh,
I mean, so they definitely have a good crowd there, and I hope they, as well as us F1 fans, are treated to a good race.
yep.
So looking forward to FP3 and quali. And if we
Yeah.
definitely, if there's a surprise pole in quali, say if Lewis Hamilton takes pole position, I'm coming back on the stream tomorrow to talk about it. If Pratish is not there, I'm definitely going to come back. And even if we do see a Carlos Science pole, we probably might come and talk about it because it's something new this season. So yes.
Yep. Totally. Totally. And yeah, so let's move on from Mercedes and talk about the other clown show team on the grid, Alpine. What the hell is Alpine doing, man? We had two bombshell stories from Alpine this year. Let's start with the most ridiculous story of them all. And no, I'm not talking about them probably not being an engine supplier. Um, Alpine has signed back Flavio Briatore as an advisor. This guy really, Aniket, Mr. Crashgate.
I have
What?
no idea what's
Man.
happening with that. How does it even happen? Because we heard a few rumblings, right? Like a few weeks back about Flavio Briatore probably coming back.
Yeah.
I did not happen. I did not expect this to happen so quickly. So that's very surprising to me. And he's been hired as like I would say some kind of a consultant, right?
Yeah, executive advisor or something. Yeah.
So I'm not really sure on exactly on what what he's going to do there. If he's going to be a part of the young driver program at Alpine, or if he's going to advise on
So I think
some other things.
I think it still can't be trackside because of his ban.
Okay,
Um, like he's not banned from being an F1 team, but I think he can't be trackside. So maybe that's why they, cooked up this new role called, executive advisor. But come on, Alpine, like really, like this guy, I don't have words, man. Like,
I basically he goes back to the team wherein he with whom he brought success to in F1. So that's a good story. But I mean, 2008 Crashgate definitely ruined all of his reputation and image of of his presence in F1. So it's a weird situation. I mean, to talk about like we did not expect him to be back in F1 this quick.
yeah,
So
this is like Ron Dennis coming back after ruining McLaren back in the day, right? Like imagine Ron Dennis coming out to McLaren. McLaren would be clowned to no avail.
exactly. So
And yeah, I think Alpine, I think past few seasons has just been such a clown show, right?
I think
They
I mean, I'm not sure if you would like to call this a desperation move considering how bad they've been this season. Maybe it's
Yeah.
like a desperate hire also. Who knows? They wanted a senior figure in that team after
Yeah, but I think
undergoing so many changes in their management over the last few seasons with firstly Otmar
yeah,
Safnauer
I think
not being
firing
there.
firing Otmar was like the first clown move, right?
Yeah, that should not have
Like,
been done. I don't know why they did that.
yeah,
They
exactly.
got him
Like
from they got him from what Racing Point or someone. I don't remember. Was he there from Racing Point or Aston Martin or
yeah,
where?
no, he was at Racing Point, or yeah, he was there in the transition, and then I think he left. I think Alpine gave him better offer or something. He moved.
Yeah, so they got him for a reason, correct? And they did not,
Yeah.
he did not last long there. So yeah, it's pretty weird.
Yeah, and also they replaced Otmar with Bruno Fama, who has no connections to F1, right? He was just a corporate guy who came in
Correct.
and they're
Yes.
riding for and yeah, continuing on clowning of Alpine, there were reports that Alpine may not even be an engine supplier in 2026. Like, what the hell? They want to be a customer team and what? Like, I don't know, man. Like, Alpine. I mean, sure, they have the worst engine this time, on the grid. But they have an opportunity to be the second worst engine in 2026 because Audi is coming in, has no experience, right? Audi is probably going to be hot garbage for at least a couple of seasons, right? Um, yeah, it's really surprising that Alpine is going to just throw away all of this and go back to being a customer team. And who are they going to buy engines from? Like I don't know, RBPT. Like imagine some energy drink supplying you engines, right? Like you're like 100-year-old, 200-year-old company making engines, and then imagine buying engines from an energy drink company, right?
That's going to be extremely weird to see.
Yeah, I think generally the rule is that teams should get engines from uh, the least number of
Yeah,
engines.
like say one constructor or one works team can supply engines to three other
Right.
teams at
And
max.
also the first preference has to be the team supplying the lowest number of teams. The engine supplier supplying the lowest
Correct.
number of teams, right? So
Definitely.
I know Honda is coming in 26, but they're probably Audi definitely will not supply because Audi gets a pass for the first year of F1,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
then who else? Right, we have Honda supplying Aston Martin, so it's going to either
I
be
don't
Honda,
think Honda has come back to supply anybody else this quickly. I think they are in a works partnership with Aston Martin.
right?
So
So so
that
next
leaves
is RB,
Ferrari, I guess.
yeah, and then or you have Red Bull.
Red
It's
Bull.
going to be yeah, man. I don't know what Alpine is doing. hiring Briatore, scrapping their Indian program. Like,
From is
what
super
next?
weird to see.
Cosmos coming back to F1? I don't know. At least they're good Indians. So.
Or maybe they just quit F1 entirely altogether, and maybe Andretti comes in. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be actually fun. I just want 11th team, man. Come on, Andretti, just give them 11th team, right? But yeah, I think yeah, and there have been also rumors that Science would announce Williams this weekend. Of course, Williams says, "Oh, we have no announcements." I don't know. They're probably being cheeky, but I don't know, maybe if not
I
this weekend,
think,
maybe next week, because I
yeah,
mean, lot that Spain is when Science decides, right? So
definitely. As you said, there have been rumors that it could be announced as soon as this weekend. So, I mean, Williams is looking like his last spot, right? I don't think any other teams left for him to sign for. I mean, the Audi thing is not pretty, is not looking exciting for him.
I
Mercedes
don't.
have, backed out from any deal. Red Bull have signed Perez. So the Williams
Yeah,
seat is looking like the most likely.
yeah, and I don't think Science wants to go to Audi either because they're going to be a brand new team, right?
Exactly.
Brand new brand. I mean, sure, there's going to be the same folks, but it's going to be new engines, and nobody knows how Audi is going to, be in the first year of F1. At least
Yes.
Williams been on a slightly upward trajectory, and they're good engines too, right? And they had a very fast car last year, so yeah, Williams is probably the better bet compared to Audi. Maybe win a
And
couple
they
of
have
races.
Mercedes engines as well, which is still looking like a fine engine.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I guess he was holding out for Red Bull, but Red Bull signed Perez, and yeah, I don't think he can hold out for much longer, right?
Yeah.
I think he and Mercedes, kind of were at loggerheads over the contract length, right? Mercedes wanted a 1+1, he wanted a 2+1 or a 3+1.
Yes, he
I
wanted like
think,
obviously a long-term contract, which is something he's looking for. And I think
I
Toto
think,
Wolff mentioned to him that Kimi Antonelli is the future, so he couldn't offer
yeah,
him a long-term deal.
yeah, but I think, Science should have taken a 1+1 at Mercedes. If he was faster than say George Russell, maybe George gets kicked out instead of Carlos, right? Next to Kimi, or 2025 some other team blows up, and then or some other team comes up, and Carlos can go there, right?
Correct.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a mistake from Carlos to go to Williams. Honestly, I should have taken the 1+1 in Mercedes. I think
Yeah,
Mercedes.
but I'm sure Carlos is going to design his contract in such a way, or he's going to try to design his contract in such a way that he could leave Williams within a year or two in case any other top
Yeah,
seed opens up and is interested in him. So
yeah,
yeah, that's going to be something he's always going to be looking at. And if he performs well at Williams, then what better than any other team? Because Williams is rising, getting that team back to the top is something imperative for James Fowles and everyone there. So if Carlos Sainz is the man for that job, then yeah, so be it.
yeah. Who knows? This might be his Lewis to Mercedes moment.
I mean, I don't think it's gonna be that kind, but I understand where you're coming from. Maybe this finally gets Williams out from the bottom or thereabouts to regular points finishes. So that could happen.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Signs at Williams, well, if it happens, yeah. Hopefully, Williams improves and we see more smooth operators, right?
Yep,
Uh,
I agree. Yeah,
but yeah, we also saw in the last couple of weeks, we saw Yuki Tsunoda extend his contract RB for a year. I think the year is very telling. Yuki wants to probably see whether he gets a Red Bull seat. He probably is hedging his bets with these guys. Perez not doing very well, right?
yeah,
So he's probably hedging his bets. Maybe 2026. There's a lot of smoke of him going to Haas or Audi in 25, but maybe he'll do it in 26, right? If he has no future at Red Bull. What do you think? Can
yeah. It's
Yuki
gonna be
do it?
interesting. Red Bull has quite a few drivers at its disposal now,
Yeah,
so it's gonna be a wait and watch scenario for them. Like Perez is there because of his contract now. I don't think he's there because of his performances. To be frank, over the last couple of races at least. So, and we saw in FP2 that Perez was like 8 tenths behind the leaders. So not a good start for him again to another race weekend. So let's see how it pans out again at this point.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and yeah. Oh, Kevin Magnussen said something interesting as well today. He was asked why is not announced his future, and he said Carlos is a cork in the bottle. A lot of drivers are waiting for him to make a move, and once he signs, everything else will fall in place.
Oh
Man, literally the
man.
whole thing for
I
Carlos at this
mean,
point.
I don't know what Kevin Magnussen is hoping for. I'm not sure any other team is looking to sign Kevin Magnussen. So
I mean,
yeah.
maybe with Audi, man, if Carlos doesn't go there, right?
But how can he reunite with Hulkenberg and Audi after leaving Haas? That's gonna be so weird. Like you're leaving one team and both the drivers are another team, the same driver. That's gonna be so strange.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah,
what makes it. That's what makes F1 a circus, right?
exactly. That's gonna be a crazy circus if both the drivers leave the same team and then join the same team again. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Lance Stroll was asked whether he continue at Aston Martin, and he says it'll be
Yeah,
announced soon.
it'll be
Like,
announced.
how? Why do you even pretend at this
The
point?
con. I mean, there's nothing to talk about. Like he's gonna be there till his father's there, basically. So yeah.
Yeah, unless Saudi buys out the team next season, he's not leaving. He's not going anywhere.
Exactly. Correct.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. So I guess we're going to look forward to Spain, right? Again, there's also there's also a lot of rumors this week that Newey signed with Ferrari, but again, one more week goes where nothing is announced. Uh,
I've also heard rumors that he has visited the Aston Martin factory. So
oh my
we
God,
still have no idea where he's going to go.
that would be such a mistake if he goes to Aston Martin.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather him go to Williams and finish his career out there rather than go to Aston Martin.
Yeah, but it could also just be about him wanting to stay in the UK and not
Williams is in
moving
the
to
UK.
Italy.
Williams are in the UK.
Yeah, I mean Williams and Aston Martin. So basically, that could be a reason why wherein he doesn't want to go to Italy just because the location changed. So
No,
that's
I
probably
agree
the
with that.
reason he's still exploring his options.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. But I think if he wants to win UK, he should he should sign with Williams. Like Aston Martin is not a serious team, as long
I
as
agree. If Mercedes,
Stroll.
McLaren, Williams, get to sign him, then I would very well be happy with that rather than
Yeah,
Aston Martin
totally.
signing him. Yeah.
Yeah, and also Jean Todt kicked up some shit today, where he said that Mick Schumacher is better than half the drivers on the grid.
Then that would mean he would have a race seat, right?
Yeah, like come on, Todd. I know you're a fan of Mr. Schumacher
Mr.
Senior for good,
Schumacher.
but the sun is not it, man. The sun is not it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wait a second. Will Buxton tweeted that it's been wet and cold all day today in Barcelona.
But it didn't look like from practice. It looked pretty hot in practice. So I don't know
I mean,
where the tweet is from.
it cleared up for practice, but apparently the morning was pretty gloomy.
Okay.
So yeah, Sunday. Well, yeah, and he's saying that Sunday is a chance of rain. So yeah, hopefully, man, fingers crossed.
But I
And
think without rain also we might get an exciting race. So if that happens,
uh,
then I think our prayers
it's
for rain should
Baltimore.
no longer be, happening every race. Because
Yeah,
Spain is generally when we come to know that where teams stand in the F1, pecking order.
totally, totally. Yeah. Oh, before we leave, this is interesting. So Joe Guan Yu has requested and his request has been accepted to use Sauber's previous chassis from earlier in the season because he has just struggled with a new chassis apparently. Oh,
Oh,
interesting,
okay.
interesting
That's
stuff.
interesting. Yep.
Yep.
Very interesting.
Cool. All right. So I guess that's about it for this week's preview. And
We've
oh
had a
yeah,
lot to cover.
before we leave, there's a lot of smoke around, the rule changes for young drivers, right? So for those who missed it, FIA announced that you don't need to be 18 anymore to be an F1 driver if you have enough super license points. So basically, we can have another Max Verstappen come onto the grid. So obviously, Kimi Antonelli is going to be 18 next season, but this clears it up for him to come back to F1 maybe this season if Logan Sargent keeps crashing at Williams. And there's
Mhm.
also been a lot of debate. I mean, all right, you guys should put in the comments what do you think. But there's been a lot of debate around Ollie Behrman potentially getting an F1 seat next season, but Theo Porsche continuing to be ignored, right? And also Alpine going for their academy driver instead of Theo. And the reason is this: both Ollie and Theo Porsche are F4 champions. They both won F3 as rookies. They both won races in their rookie F2 year as 17-year-olds. But, you know, Ollie is destined for F1 next year. But Theo Porsche, because racing in IndyCar, he's being shunned by the grid. What do you
Mhm.
think, Aniket? Should Theo get a drive? Maybe replace, I don't know, Sergio Perez or Logan Sargent?
Yeah, I
And
mean,
Joe Guan.
definitely. I
Joe
think,
Guan, you
I
have at
think,
this point.
yeah, I think definitely Porsche should get a shot at, if he's consistently doing well in the other formats, definitely F1. I mean, teams need to take a look at that. So, along with Ollie Behrman, I think Theo Porsche, Kimi Antonelli, all these guys should get opportunities in the near future because there are so many drivers on the grid right now who are just not very competitive.
Yeah.
So it'll be like interesting to see where how the grid looks like next season with so many of these other young drivers coming in because
Yeah.
we have a top of the we have a crop of drivers at the top like Hamilton, Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, Norris, and all these guys who are very exceedingly talented. But
Right.
then we have a lower midfield that is just not as good or maybe not rising enough. So there's definitely scope for improvement in F1 with some more young drivers that could come in.
Yeah, like people like say Logan Sargent or even Joe Gonyu, like why are they even in the sport at this point, right? Like what has Joe Gonyu showed? Sure, his first race he got a point as a rookie. He
Yeah,
was promising, but yeah, I mean he can't even compete with Bottas at this point, and Bottas is completely checked out, as you can all see.
correct, correct.
So yeah, I think I don't know Theo Porsche in Audi would be a good drive. Yeah, give new guys a chance, man. Oh yeah, why is even
Yep.
Checo driving at this point? Uh, I think the only old guy I didn't see at this point is the two old guys who deserve their seat in F1 at this point are Lewis and Alonso.
Fernando. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I think anybody else, we need a shake up, man. At least we are guaranteed not to have the same grid as 23 to 24. We saw no changes. Is a bit disappointing. I mean 23 had a mid-season change, but that's about it, right? So hopefully we see some
But
more
it
changes.
does look like we might see a lot of changes before next season.
Yeah. And I still maintain that the biggest shock would be if Max actually moves to Mercedes. I think that's why Toto is not announcing the second driver. he
Let's
probably
see when
signed
that
a
happens.
he probably signed a contract with Kimi that says you will be the second driver in 2025 unless we can convince Max to come to Mercedes. That'll be some contract.
Yeah.
Well, I
If
guess that's
Mercedes
about,
keep doing well, I think Max is definitely going to look at them and think about it. Like, I don't think he's
yeah,
going to think about it as terms of leaving Red Bull, but it might make him think
yeah,
again, considering there'll be a
uh,
new set of rules in 2026.
yeah.
So
Especially with Newey leaving, and Marcotte might also leave. Yeah, it's going to be. I think I think it's not drivers waiting on Carlos, like Magnussen was saying, it's probably waiting on Max to decide.
I think he just
uh,
needs to come out and say a definitive no to not moving out of Red Bull. So
yeah, but
if
he's
he
not
just
saying that,
gives,
right?
yeah, yeah.
He keeps saying that he's a fan of Helmut Marko. That's all Max keeps saying,
He
right?
keeps saying that it'll be something. I think he's happy at where he is, and he's getting the results what he likes or something like that. But yeah,
But he
basically,
didn't
I
he
think
didn't support of honor. He didn't talk in support of honor. He said Helmut Marko is very important to him. He was sad that Newey is leaving.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll
But
see what happens.
Mercedes is in a more desperate situation than him, so we'll see
Yeah,
what the team does.
and Mercedes has a lot of cost cap with. I mean,
Correct.
I know salaries don't count, but Lewis leaving has opened a lot of budget for Mercedes to go tits up for Max, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. All
So
right.
they,
Uh,
yep. They also lose a lot of sponsorships with Lewis leaving, so that's another thing.
and Max will get them a lot of sponsorships in turn. So
I mean, he might get a few, but not as many as Lewis for sure.
yeah, but I mean,
He
three
might
time
get in a lot
potentially
of Dutch
four
fans
time
for
world
sure.
champion. No, but three-time potentially four-time world champion coming obviously will get you a lot, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Before we leave, we're just going to close up with this meme from Lando Norris. So apparently, John lost his ID, and Lando is putting it on sale, and buys some of his shirtless to match the identity.
It's good that they have that banter in F1.
Yeah, a lot of young drivers, good banter.
Yep.
Folks, that's it from us. We'll see you next week. It's a back-to-back weekend, so we'll be back next week again for a mega episode with hopefully an exciting review of Barcelona and a preview of Austria, the home of Red Bull. So the Red Bull ring, literally. So we'll be back next week. So till then,
Till then,
safe drive. Have fun watching Spain.
have fun watching the F1, have fun watching the Euros if you're a football fan, and do remember
Yeah.
we are covering F1,
And the
football,
Copa
cricket,
America.
everything on this channel.
And the Copa America is starting soon as well.
And the Copa America also. So
Yep.
we're covering everything on this channel. So stay tuned on this channel. Like the
Yep.
channel, follow everything, follow all sports. We do that here. So
Yep.
yeah, till next time. See you and good night.
And don't forget, this channel is going to watch along tonight for Netherlands versus France. So yeah, be
Yep.
sure. If you're enough you football fans out there, be sure to tune in for that. All right, see you folks.